Hi, Karina, and welcome to this week's episode. I have to make a comment that somehow we managed to transmit a cold across the world. So
Oh dear.
last time it was Karina with bad voices, but I've managed to catch it too. So trans-seasonal in both sides of the world. I blame it on for me.
Oh dear.
So just a little caveat this today that both Karina and I sound a little different.
A little different. We'll just drop a few octaves and go deeper.
Yeah, exactly. But we still have a bad work story, and
We still do.
and we still want to make it good.
And we're still here, and we, as you said, we're still going to make it good. Well, thanks for being here, Emma, because I know that it's not much fun when you're croaking away. So I'm hopefully at the tail end of mine. So together we will croak on.
Yeah.
So yes, our bad work story to be made good this week is a situation that that I was helping another facilitator on this last week, and I thought it's like, this is a perfect bad work story for us to kind of pull part, and love to get your input into it too, Em. And so basically what had happened is that this team, had a team development session, had worked on their culture and their purpose, done some really nice, opening up the Johari window, and, done some business topics, all really good, feeling the love. And right at the very end, this person was running a checkout process, which is really nice, and what you and I are familiar with as well, where people, you go do around the group of, it could be a highlight or the key takeaway from the session and anything else they need to say to be complete. And this person, right at the very end, makes a comment and says something along the lines of, well, I don't think we've all been as honest as we could have been, but we have made a start.
Wow.
Silence.
That's a bit of a buzzkill at the end of a session.
Isn't it? Isn't it just? I mean, I really feel for the leader and people, and of course the facilitator, who everyone's doing their best, and a comment like this is made right at the very end. So, and then of course the other, one, you could say, okay, well that's the piece itself, but actually for me, the next piece is even worse, right? Which is that no one did anything.
Wow.
It's that silence of awkwardness, of people feel that something is not right, and yet no one knows what to do with it. No. So the piece is to either just, acknowledge it and move on, or laugh about it, ha ha ha, and move on. And, the weight of those comments, the energy stays, but it's not addressed. So that's the bad work story.
Yeah, that awkwardness, so all that good work was kind of ruined.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, it's put to the test, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth for people,
totally.
Walking out, and it is not, it's a lost teachable moment, in terms of using that as to go deeper. And sure, there are challenges around this, being at the end of a day, etc. But that's what we're going to make good. So that's our bad work story.
So how do we make it good?
How do we make it good? So I think there's various pieces that we could look at this. So, in the moment that happens, one is from a facilitation, or even anyone in the group could do this, assuming that it's in your culture and people have the knowledge, awareness, and skill, which is the good old speak from the I. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I
do. I do. Yeah. Yeah. And, because what we have here is someone saying, he or she is making a comment on behalf of.
Yes.
Right. And, that is
the global comment.
Yeah, totally.
We.
And that person, needs not to speak on behalf of people, where and that can be something that we all fall into because we're afraid to say what's true for us.
Yeah.
And maybe for that person, it was their truth, that people weren't that honest. But how that is communicated and how that shows up in the culture is the more interesting thing, right? So
Definitely.
so holding that thought, because I don't want to lose that piece, is so for facilitator or anyone in the group could have just said, hey, can you say that from the I?
Mm.
And then you have, smart people sometimes say, well, I am saying it from the I don't think.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, yeah, but, so were you being honest?
Yeah. Own it.
Oh,
I think it's really important, in a group setting that we don't try and actually dissipate our own power in these situations, because it's something that's, that I is so important when, I feel or I think this hasn't worked as well because we haven't been as honest. I mean, it's a powerful statement, powerful. So don't dissipate that.
I would even go deep, deeper on that one, which is, I haven't been honest. That's where I would go with it, because if picking up your comment, Em, if you think, if you think that people haven't been honest during the day, what have you done about it? So if I don't think you've been honest, what have I
not been honest about?
Been honest about?
Good point.
So if we're having a chat, it's on a topic, business topic, about what's gone on with a customer or whatever, and you say something and I go, hang on, that's not quite how I recall, or I recall you saying something different about it at the time. If I'm silent and then I bring in this grenade, if you like, at the end of the day, and I don't own it personally, and I don't, that's about me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what was going on for me that I did not front up in that guy and say, hey, Em, I have a different perspective. With that customer, this is what I recall about it. And then we can share, remember, many different sides of the truth, the good old Rubik's Cube, there's more than one color facing us.
Totally more perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So it's an opportunity to open that up. And, the thing with this particular group, as I'm sure many, many groups and team leaders and team members listening to this, honesty is a basic ingredient of a healthy culture.
Absolutely.
Safety and trust. People need to know that you're going to be honest. You're going to speak to the source. You're going to speak your truth, and listen to other people's truth. So I think that's that owning the personal and not going to the universal or the global, as you said, is a really good point. So that's kind of how the facilitator or someone in the group could really help the person, right? So what's your I statement on this?
Yeah.
And
because maybe the situation is that for them, they had hoped there would be some deeper conversations. So, I could say, I really hoped we could go a bit deeper, but I like that we started, I mean, that would be a way of saying I want more, and I'm pleased we started without throwing the whole meeting off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you're opening up others to sort of go, okay, Emma wants more. She's really open now to more input and wants to do more of this work.
Yeah.
It's positive.
Yeah. You can even add to that saying, and next time we meet, I'm going to go deeper. So it kind of, again comes back to, and that would be, that actually, you think of the energy of that, like what you just said, hey, look, I hope that we would may have covered more or gone deeper. And I'm committed to doing that next time myself. I will take me deeper for us.
Yeah.
And you can just feel like, wow, people go like, wow, that's really aspirational, or hey, that's super inspiring. And the next person who speaks might pick up on that and go, yeah, I love what you've just said. I'm going to do that too. So there can be a really, kind of a dampening of the energy and vibe, the frequency, and an upping of that,
Totally.
depending on how we do that. So that's one intervention
Mm.
that can happen. But that requires a lot of, groundedness, and even some might say courage, for a team
Mm.
member, a team leader, or a facilitator to actually
Yeah.
stand in that. And this is really standing and testing out your culture,
Yeah.
and really being in sense with what's happening in the group. Yeah.
Mm.
And another way we could deal with this is around, so if this is kind of, washed over, like, it's
Yeah.
gone
We just
kind of that,
walk away. We all just, oh, yeah. Oh,
oh, yeah,
awkward. Big
oh,
laugh.
good, or haha, yeah, exactly. We've laughed over it, or awkward silence, or just say, oh, okay, well, we'll move on now. Let's get over that really, interesting thing is to address it afterwards.
Mm.
And
How can we do that? Yeah. So how do we do that? Because, normally we don't like taking things offline. It sort of can
mm-hmm.
seem a little backdoor, but tell me how would you do that in a positive way? What's a way of doing
Yeah,
it?
totally. And I echo what you've just said, Em, which is, if at all you have the opportunity to do this in the group first, do
Yeah.
it. This is
Yeah.
the backup plan.
Yeah.
So if it isn't, done, as part of your in the group, so to take it offline is literally, I would, take that person aside and just say, hey, really interesting, your last comment, like it felt a little, like you could say how it felt for you. It might have felt a
Yeah.
little off, or you were surprised, or you would like to understand more.
Yeah.
And just be curious, it's just helping the other person kind of own what's going on for them is the
Yeah.
intention.
Yeah.
And how you can help them bring that to the fore within the group, right? So, and it's, awareness thing, it's like, do they understand, being able to give them some feedback on
Feedback.
the impact of that
Mm.
comment,
Yeah.
particularly when it's the last thing that a group is kind of checking out on. It's like, what do we leave people with?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
what is the intention behind that? So just really just having a chat about it. Just get curious, what did you mean by that? So this is how, how I heard it. I was, I felt a little weird, or felt a little down on the group energy. And, given and relate it back. This is really important. Relate it back to the culture of the,
Yes.
the team, what
Session.
you've just created. The session. So it's less about, oh, I got offended, or between you and me. It's actually, what, we made an agreement to behave like this.
Yeah.
XYZ behaviors.
Mm.
And in this one, honesty was one of those behaviors. And so you're really helping the person kind of go, oh, okay, this is the new behavior. This is the default of the old behavior. What we want to do is work on the new behavior. So once you have that conversation, and you help the other person kind of get their aha, you then have to close the loop, right?
Right.
This is the piece. You then have to bring it back into the group.
Right. Well, how would you do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, you could do it at the start of the next, time that the group's together.
Right.
Most teams are having some form of weekly, connection. It could be, even just in, your 5-minute stand-up, if you're doing things like that. Literally just empower the person who made this comment to share their learnings. That's what we're doing. It's not, it's not anything about embarrassment or punishment or anything like that. It's just like, hey, I had a learning. Guys, I just want to take a minute to say, as we checked out of our team meet last week, I made a comment about this. I didn't think anyone had been as honest as we could have been. I made a global statement. And I realized that put a downer, on the team as we checked out, which wasn't my intention. My learning is this. There were some things that I felt that we were not being as honest as we could have been, but I didn't do anything in the session.
No.
And so I wasn't actually honest.
Yeah.
Because if I had been honest, I would have called out on a couple of these points. So I'm sorry I didn't do that. And that, and I've learned that, this is the way to bring this behavior alive in our culture. So I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that I'm sorry that it turned out like that. And this is the learning. That's it.
I mean, it's fantastic to be able to bring your humility and your learning into a team environment, because together, when we are in that space, we do grow so much more.
Nice,
and,
yeah.
We also get support from others. And, who knows, there may well be a great opening up of, look, honestly, I felt the same and I wanted to be more honest too. So, if it is the ability for you to do that and open up for more dialogue, honesty, and connection in the team, then that's an awesome reason to do it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, love it. Yeah, totally. So, the fact that these things happen is not the end of it. There is really powerful recovery that can happen either in the moment or, outside of the moment. And then the key thing is to bring it back into the group, so that people see, learning, safety builds trust. It's a beautiful thing. So there you go.
And I also think that the reality is, because the work we do is with groups, often out of the workplace, the reality of working together is in the work, in the moment, in the office or wherever you are. And so we have to move these things and learn and shift and, put it into action. So it's not just something that happens on a 2-day offsite.
Exactly. Yeah, powerful learning. So if that's ever happened to you, or you wondered what you would do if something like happened, there you go. There's some options for you to find out. So that's how we make it good, yeah?
Perfect. Sounds great. And hopefully our voices will be back next week.
Thanks for listening to Bad Work Stories Made Good with Emma and Karina. We hope you enjoyed this episode and that the perspectives we'd shared stimulate your thinking and are a catalyst for your own reflections and actions. If you have a bad work story you would like to share, get in touch at help@badworkstoriesmadegood.com. And if you enjoyed or have some feedback, please leave a review. We appreciate it. Till next time, may all your bad work stories be made good.